If you replace that have to with get to, it totally changes everything into more of a positive presentation, positive perspective. And I still practice it daily. I say have to a lot, and it's like, no, I don't have to. Like, for example, oh, I have to go do this podcast. No, I don't. I get to. I'm lucky enough to be a guest. I don't have to take my boys to school. I get to. I am so lucky that I actually have children when several people can't. I am so lucky I have a vehicle to get them to school. So if you can even just flip your mindset on a bad day and just go back and go, look at all the things I said I have to do today. It shows a gratitude, it shows appreciation, and it makes you realize there are people who would love to have this have to.
2, 1, 0.
Hello, this is Orion. How are you doing? I remember the days where I was into fitness and I was so in shape and such a kick ass. Those days are gone, and I just feel like I really fell out of the wagon. But after talking to my guest today, I feel so much more inspired to do more and not to have this like self-defeating belief of what I just said. Those days are gone. Why? Maybe those days are gone, but better days are ahead. And man, I feel like going to the gym right now, which I probably won't do because it's late and I need to put my little one to sleep. But yes, definitely got inspired. And I just love being around people like Whitney who are such kick asses, and they go and they like they don't survive, they strive, they make their life better. And how this woman Whitney Jones went from being a single mom struggling to become like three-time Miss Fitness Olympia and have six fitness related businesses and communities and helping others. That's for me incredible. And while she was doing all that, she managed to be a very dedicated mom. So we talked about time management and the psychology behind it, and also the psychology and mindset of a champion. She also shared her story where she competed for her third title for Miss Fitness Olympia, having her leg be broken 3 days prior. That's outstanding. That's amazing. This woman, she's got the mindset of a Navy SEAL or I don't know, a secret agent. She's one tough cookie. Very beautiful from the inside out. And I had the honor and pleasure of meeting her in person when I attended my Genius Network event, and I was mesmerized by her. And I'm so happy she's so busy. She got the time to be on the show and inspire me, and I'm sure you too. And now, without further ado, on to the show. Hello, Whitney. Welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm loving it. I'm honored to be a guest, and I appreciate you asking me.
Yes, I actually asked you a few years ago, and it never worked out. I don't know why. It kind of like didn't happen, but thank God today it happened because when I heard you speak at Genius Network, I was mesmerized by you. I was mesmerized by your story. I was mesmerized by your authenticity, your willpower. Overall, like you're very much a unicorn, I think. And
Well, thanks.
yeah, and we'll dive deep into your life story in a second. But before we begin, what was your favorite childhood memory?
Oh, God. I have so many. I was very fortunate to grow up with both my parents in the house, two older brothers. I was the youngest. My favorite, we didn't grow up with money. So we always had to be super creative and just to do anything fun or vacations, whatever. I would say though, my favorite memory was trying to do the like, what are we going to do this weekend? And you have all Saturday and Sunday as a family. And like I said, we weren't fortunate to just be like, oh, let's go out to eat and do, go to some trampoline park. So we used to be so creative, and we would change out. Like, it was my weekend to pick games and to do scavenger hunts, or, simple things like Uno. But we would switch off between who got to decide. And it's some of my most favorite memories. Just having
Oh,
time together, connection, laughter, and just enjoying my family. We're very close. So all my favorite memories are of things that just are about us spending time together.
wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I didn't grow up rich. I grew up actually very poor as well, and I remember being more creative with my time, and I think it leaves you more time to imagine and think. I remember I used to spend a lot of time in the backyard watching feral cats and imagine myself to be a zoologist, climbing trees, doing lots of stuff. That was really cool. But yeah, and I actually had a conversation with my 4 year old last night, and I explained to him, that when I grew up, things were different, and we didn't have money. So I was like, "So what did you do?" He didn't understand how my life could be interesting without going to interesting places. And it was a good conversation with him because I tried to teach him even from this young age to really value and be grateful for everything that he's got. Yeah, so important.
Yes. And it's interesting because I have two boys. So my oldest is 18. He actually just left last week for college. And then my youngest is 15. And same type thing, again, we kind of draw back on our own childhood and our own favorite memories and how we want to be as parents. And I was unfortunately divorced pretty early on. There were 3 and 5, and went through some very difficult financial times. So it was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to provide, for my kids in this day and age when everyone has, PlayStations, and they're going to all these amazing things every weekend. And it was interesting. My boys and I were talking before Brody, my oldest, went to college. And we started saying, what were some of your favorite memories? And they actually said, they go, Mom, we know you didn't have money, but every weekend you would be so creative and you would have things planned, and it would be going to the park and putting together obstacle courses, or we would have, whatever it was in the backyard, and events, and, crafts inside the house. Where in my mind, I always thought, they must be going, gosh, this sucks. And why can't I have XYZ? But you do your best that you can as a parent, right? But some of their favorite memories were being creative and doing things that none of their friends were doing. I mean, we would go spend a day trying to learn how to skateboard, or, I was trying to Google how to throw a spiral football, and just all those things that I did with them that did not involve like, not even a penny. And it's some of their most favorite moments. And it goes back to, what it's what you do and not what you have, and of course gratitude. But to hear them say those were some of their favorite memories as a mom, it's like, oh, because you just think, gosh, I'm failing, I'm not living up to everyone else. But yeah.
No, you raised them right because you go to trampoline park and the kids are playing, and then you see like a row of mom on their phones. It's like, let me delegate my parenting to the trampoline park and have fun, kids. What you did was, and I do the same. I do the same. Sometimes I do the same. But I try to be very conscious with my son was homeschooled for 3 years, and I was very creative then. But now that I put him in the school system, I get really, really lazy. So it's a good reminder for me. So thank you for that. I wanna dive into your story, your life story. How did you discover this passion of fitness? And just just share because your story is incredible.
Well, thank you. Gosh, I growing up with two older brothers, I was always active. We were always outside, just trying to do anything. And having them as my role models, they played sports. And growing up, our parents let us play any sports that the school like provided. So I tried everything, literally everything from soccer to softball to, track and field to the recess monkey bars activities, whatever it was. So I was always an athlete growing up, even through high school and some in college. But as I got older, I would been doing marathon, triathlon, endurance events just to stay in shape, kind of give me that creative outlet. But I got into this world of fitness. So I do fitness competitions, and a lot of people don't really understand. But what it is, I compete in the fitness division. That is one division that's in the bodybuilding umbrella. So I don't get on stage, I don't flex, I don't do any of that stuff like Arnold Schwarzenegger that everyone knows him. But I do a division where you do a 2-minute performance. That includes dance choreography, gymnastics, backflips, plyometric push-ups. You can do anything. So that's the division I compete in. But I got into it randomly enough out of a dare. Someone at the gym had just said, "You would never be good at this." And I had no idea what they were talking about. And I just kind of turned around. I'm like, "Good at what?" And they were talking about this fitness competition. And I'm like, "Yeah, I could do it." And like, there's no way. And so it was just, trying to tell me I couldn't do something. Well, I love a challenge. So I was like, I can do it. I'm going to do it. When is it? And it was like 4 months later. So I said, "Yep, I'm in." And then as soon as this guy walked away, I turned to my friend. I'm like, "What are they talking about? Like, what did I sign up for?" I had no idea if it was underwater basket weaving or cage fighting. I had no idea what I signed up for. So I learned about it and I was like, "Oh, okay, well, this could be fun." For me, it's always been, again, things in life it's always been a challenge. But I've learned that I thrive under a challenge. If it's easy, I'm not usually interested. If it's hard and it's going to take focused effort and work and true dedication, that's what like fires me up. So I knew nothing about it. And I'm like, okay, cool. This will be fun. I just pretty much assumed it would be one and done. I have no gymnastics experience. I am not a trained dancer. So this was completely out of my wheelhouse.
Were you at least flexible?
I was flexible. So I love to just do stuff. I was a cheerleader in high school, but we didn't have cheerleading back then. For me was like you try out for the team and it's, "Hey, go team, go team," with pom poms. So you didn't have to do backflips or tumbling passes. So I knew the tech.
At what age did you start?
Start doing the fitness competitions.
Yes.
34. So totally later in life.
You've never done a backflip until you were 34.
No, I've done them when I was younger. Again, just in like my front yard with my brothers would dare me to do stuff. And I'm like, okay. We had a neighbor who was an amazing gymnast. She actually she was an alternate on the Olympic team one of the years back in the 80s. And so we would see her practicing all the time at parks. And I was always just like in awe. So I had seen it, but I'd never been taught how to do anything. But I was a daredevil. And so I learned how to just kind of backflip or front flip or do things when I was in high school and younger because my brothers would dare me to. Now, it wasn't the right form. And like if you go on a gymnastics floor, they'd be like, "That is not how you do it." But in the fitness competition world, it's not judged like that. It's judged on a performance. So you can do whatever kind of style you want, just don't land on your face, which I have done several times. But I loved it. And I liked the aspect of this is going to be hard. It has been years since I've done these things. I wonder if I can still do it. And then the thing is, even if I couldn't, it wasn't a requirement. You don't have to do backflips. There's girls who compete in our sport and they don't have any gymnastics background, but they're phenomenal dancers or they're amazing, martial art. They've got some background in martial arts and then can create a cool choreographed routine around it. Or they're super strong and can do like strength holds and strength moves. So there's a bunch of different ways you can do this. And I liked that option. So I did a show. I loved it just because it was such an amazing creative outlet. I didn't care if the judges had me first or last. I didn't care on the placing. I liked the challenge and having that goal and something to focus on.
So tell me about your first win. Was what was that like?
Gosh, my first win, truly because I did not go into shows with the goal of winning. I went in and it was me against me because I didn't have the talent that all these other girls did. I didn't have the years of training and the background. So I went in, I was very different, which is what allowed me to do well because I stood out because I was so different. So the first time I actually won, I was in shock, like, oh gosh, they made a mistake, and who's going to tell them? And this is embarrassing. Do I go up? I mean, this is, and I remember my friends in the audience, like, why are you standing there? Go up and like get the award. But I think I was just in awe. I mean, even to this day, in all my competitions, I determine if I've won right before I step on stage. There's always it's this elevated stage, this platform, and you walk up the stairs. And I have this ritual. I have to know that I have won before I step on stage. I never allowed the judges to have that control to tell me if I won or not. So for me, I had won plenty of times already, but officially, like winning that first place trophy, that was my first time. And so it was like, oh my gosh, oh, this is what you do. You go up, you get the award, and you actually do this interview. It was kind of shocking. I mean, obviously I was very excited, but I've never been about the outcome. I've always been about the journey, and then I determine whether I won or lost. And when it comes down to me, I don't always win. There have been plenty of competitions I've done, and I said I could have done better. I failed myself. I didn't give it my all on this day, or I didn't do the diet as well as I should have. I should have pushed harder in my training. So I'm very realistic with myself. So there were plenty of times I didn't win, but there were plenty of times that I did win for me. Now, how the judges scored me and if I ended up with the actual first place trophy, that's to be determined. I lost track. I've done so many competitions. I've done almost 40 since I started. So it's hard to keep track of which ones I won, lost. But again, there was always, no matter what, if you win, there's always room for improvement. There's always something you can work harder on. There's something that you need to improve on for that next competition. So it was never like an end game. It was, okay, that was cool. Win or lose, what are we going to do now?
And how were you able to do all that being a single mom to two young boys?
Gosh, it's funny because I do get asked that question a lot. It's the only way I can explain it is that I did love it. And it makes it a lot easier when you love it. Now, your time is entirely limited. So, most of my competitors were in their 20s. I'm definitely older. They don't have kids. Some don't have jobs. So they literally, this is their life. Or some of them have, husbands that kind of support them. So I'm a single mom of two boys. I'm running my own company, and then I'm trying to do this crazy sport. But again, for me, it was my outlet. It was what helped me focus on me. That was my time to focus on kind of having that ability to give me a win each day. Gosh, in life, we're thrown 800 things. And it's like you can't control bad situations. You can't control bad luck. You can't control bad days that are completely not your fault. What you can control is the things that make you feel good at the end of the day. And just going through rough patches in my life, I needed to be able to control at the end of the day that I could say, I did good for myself and my boys because of XYZ. So that's why I honestly loved this sport is it gave me something that I could control. Did I put in hard work towards my goal and give it my all? Now, was it enough? clearly there were people who had plenty more hours than I did to dedicate to it. But again, my goal was just to have something positive to focus on, a stress relief, a creative outlet. It helped me be a better mom. It helped me be a better business owner. So that's why I did it. I wasn't worried about where I was going to get in this sport. Would I win a championship? It was doing it for me. And each day I could say, I did good because I'm exhausted. And I could have said, I'm not going to the gym. Or I could have eaten horribly bad all day long. I knew when I could control certain elements of my life, I could go to sleep at night and feel okay because I can't control 80% of what is around me. And naturally, as humans, we need control. We want control. Well, when you don't have control over certain things, find stuff that you can control positively in your life. And that allowed me to be able to say I had several wins today amongst whatever craziness happened. So it was always a balancing act. And again, being a single mom, being a business owner, I had a plan every day. It never ever goes the way it's supposed to, but that's okay. I may have had a day where it's like, okay, I have 2 hours dedicated to doing some routine practice, getting in a workout. Well, guess what? My son forgot his lunch. And then there was something happened at work. And now I have 20 minutes. Well, guess what? 20 minutes needs to be efficient. And I need to figure out what do I need to prioritize in that 20 minutes. And you can't dwell on it. You just give it your best. Tomorrow's a new day. And again, the amount of time I dedicated compared to others probably doesn't even compare. But at the end of the day, for me, I am way more efficient when I am on a schedule. So there have been days where I'm like, I have more of a relaxed day and I have more time to myself. I always find I am way less efficient. I just kind of lollygag and I waste time. So I found a way to make it work.
Sound like somebody I know personally.
Yeah. Who's that? Yeah, right. It happened.
Yeah, so you're more efficient when you have more on your to-do list and living your life. You probably had to go through so much sacrifice to get to your goals. What were some of the things you had to sacrifice or overcome?
It's funny because, of course, there's always sacrifices, but there's some non-negotiables. My boys, I could never sacrifice time with them or any of their needs. I couldn't sacrifice my work life because I needed that to pay my bills. So some of the things that I did sacrifice is my quiet time or my downtime because I filled it with, trying to prepare for competitions. I did sacrifice, some of the social aspects in my life, some friendships because, there were some people who just didn't understand what I did or why I didn't want to go to the bars with them every single weekend. And, so it's like there were some sacrifices. But at the end of the day, you weigh it out and you're going, okay, gosh, at that time in my life, my best friends were all busy. So we all had to say, okay, we can get together once a month. Let's do a girls' day. We would put it on the calendar. We would make sure the kids are taken care of. And we'd get together and just laugh and relax or do a spa day or whatever. But your true core friends get it. I mean, they knew running a business and having kids alone is going to monopolize your time. And then they understood why I wanted to do this sport and why I had this goal. And so my core network, they supported me and they loved me for it. And the people that didn't or tried to kind of be that negative voice, I just kind of separated myself from them. And at the end of the day, it always ends up, people show their true colors. And if they're in your life, they should be there for the right reasons and support you. Now, if I was doing something bad, if I was like, hey guys, I'm going to be a heroin addict, who wants to support me in that? Clearly I don't expect anyone to support me, but I wasn't doing anything bad or wrong. So, it was just sacrificing more than anything. Days off. I now kind of live my life that, like I said, I don't like too much downtime. I feel like I get lazy. I like having stuff to do. It's kind of just the way I'm made. So, there is sacrifices, plenty of times that I just couldn't eat whatever I wanted, plenty of times that I had to get up early in the morning, sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning to get cardio in and get some work done before I had to get the boys up and get them to school. And, so there's a lot of sacrifices, but at the end of the day, it's like they were good. It's kind of like people say, when you're in that stage of are you going to have kids? Having kids is a sacrifice. You sacrifice parts of your life that are always and forever going to be changed, but it's the best sacrifice. I mean, that's being a mom for me is it's been the most amazing job and the biggest honor and the greatest accomplishment. So, some people say the sacrifice of being a mom. And it's like, gosh, man, I wouldn't change it for the world. I would give up more sacrifice. I would sacrifice more, honestly, because I love being a mom.
Yeah, me too. Especially because I had a whole like fertility struggle that I had to go through, and doctors gave me 5% chance to conceive, and yeah, so he was a total miracle and still is. And yeah, I totally get it, and I love that you're such a dedicated mom and so creative and did all those beautiful games and stuff for your sons while competing, while trying to keep your head above water, while trying to pay the bills and do everything else. That's incredible.
But women, we can do anything. I mean, I honestly, truly believe that. I think that's why God made us the gender that's able to have kids. We can do anything, and I work with so many clients, primarily women, and you could have one client who doesn't have a job, has a husband who pays for everything, they have no kids, their daily life is pretty open. And then I have another client who is working two jobs, single mom, four kids, training for a marathon, has all these
Wow.
responsibilities. They both think their life is so overwhelming. So I always, and I've experienced this just through my life too, we always find a way to manage what's on our plate. And we usually always feel maxed out or we feel like we're doing a lot. It doesn't matter if you have
Hmm.
one thing on your plate or if you have 10. We always find a way to make it work. That's truly why I think women are so amazing and so badass and so strong, is because we always find a way.
But there is a shift in mindset between the woman that doesn't have much going on in her life and feel overwhelmed to the person that has so much going on and they still find the time. What did you find was that shift in mindset, or like what changes in people that get them so committed to fitness and to life, to this type of lifestyle? It's not easy.
It's definitely not easy. And when I'm working with clients and they're struggling just in their life in general, it's kind of taking an audit of everything they have going on in their life. And typically when people are in this or this rut or they're having a hard time, there's a lot of these negative things or things that they don't want to do or responsibilities they don't love. And so the way you can kind of shift is you've got to even it out. Now, again, who loves paying bills? I don't know anyone, but that's one thing that's always going to be a negative, right? So we can't ever get rid of that. But you need to have enough things that get you excited, that make you smile, that you're passionate about, or that you love. So when you can
Hmm.
bring it here and you at least are like, okay, these things suck, but these things are amazing, it makes your mindset be more apt to handling the day and having a better perspective. So a lot of times too, that's where it's like, okay, let's make some, even if it's simple things, take 5 minutes. For example, I work with a lot of women who are just recently had babies post pregnancy, and as you know, it's like we go through major changes and life is crazy and you're
Mm.
not sleeping. So telling a new mom, give yourself 5 minutes to go and sit in a room and just close your eyes. Even if that is during the baby's nap time, or you have a neighbor or a family member or a friend who comes and does that to help you out. 5 minutes can actually change your entire outlook and your entire perspective to just sit and do nothing. Shut your eyes in a dark room, go for a walk, or even sit on your phone and look at memes and make yourself laugh. 5 minutes can be a huge thing. So it's a matter of
Mm,
allowing you to have some of this joy to offset the craziness, the chaos, the frustration of life. And then, I
mm.
live by this motto. You've probably heard me talk about it, H2G2. You don't have to, you get to. And I have H2G2 all over my house. I have it on every mirror. I have it in my boys' rooms. I constantly am talking to people about this because that is an instant way to take that negative voice out of your own head. So, whatever it is that's going on in your life, if you replace that have to with get to, it totally changes everything into more of a positive presentation, positive perspective. And I still practice it daily. I say have to a lot, and it's like, no, I don't have to. Like, for
I
example,
get to.
oh, I have to go do this podcast. No, I don't. I get to. I'm lucky enough to be a guest. I don't have to take my boys to school. I get to. I am so lucky that I actually have children when several people can't. I am so lucky I have a vehicle to get them to school. So if you can even just flip your mindset on a bad day and just go back and go, look at all the things I said I have to do today. It shows a gratitude, it shows appreciation, and it makes you realize there are people who would love to have this have to. And I need to have gratitude for where I'm at. And it helps you just kind of change. It's a lot of times an instant way to go, shift your perspective, take a deep breath. No one's forcing you to do this. So that's one quick, easy thing when people are in that bad state. And like I said, my days are not perfect. They never have been. They are far from perfect. But I do this exercise myself all the time. If I'm just kind of like, gosh, this day, it's just dragging or it's chaos or can it get any worse? I have to do a quick little audit of myself and go, all right, really? Is it that bad? What are you frustrated about? Take a deep breath, take a step back, and then jump back into life and realize you are very lucky. It doesn't matter your circumstances. I guarantee there is always someone who has it harder than you, who is in a way worse situation than you are. So, would you rather trade places? No. So, even though it may look hard right now, if you can flip your mindset, that's going to be a stepping stone to get you out of the hole you're currently in.
That's beautiful. I need to tape you and like listen every night before I go to bed. Have this
Well, if that's
voice.
the case, I'm going to tell you some jokes and funny memes because I'm all about laughter.
Yeah, it's when I so I had a C-section, and since my C-section, I developed this painful sciatica. And I don't you probably heard of Steve Ozanich. He was a genius too. He spoke, and he talks about how all spine injuries are basically a mindset and a trauma. And through talking to people, it helps them get rid of their chronic back pain. Even if on the X-ray you can see like discs that are compressed or even like completely broken, he helps people get over that pain. Um, but for me, like I suffered from that sciatica so badly that I stopped going to the gym, really neglecting my body. And then I went back and I used to do a little bit. I used to take a little bit of pole dancing classes in the past, and I got back into it a little bit, not a lot. Um, but and I also did like a DEXA scan which said that I need to get to the gym. I need to increase my bone density and all that. And I find it quite hard to get started. like just to get over those like first 2 3 weeks, because after 2 3 weeks I'm good, but like just to drag yourself to the gym for 2 weeks or 3 weeks straight, that's for me is the hardest thing to do. So two questions actually at all this thing that I was saying. One is, how do you get over pain and injuries? Because I know you suffered a lot of pain and you competed with, I think, a broken limb or something crazy like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that story. I was like, she's amazing. She's the real Wonder Woman. Um, like Nadia Comaneci or something like that. So tell me about that. Tell me how to get over pain and injury, and tell me how to get into the mindset of getting over that, like, go to the gym obstacle.
Okay. Well, yes, I have experienced. I mean, I've broken almost every bone in my body. I've had 18 surgeries, competing at Olympia. So, Olympia is like the Super Bowl of our sport. It's what Arnold Schwarzenegger has won. So, that's where he won it in bodybuilding. I've been fortunate to win it in my division 3 times. So, that's
And by the way, your division is so much more like difficult and badass than just like those guys. I think I respect them, bodybuilders, good, diet, discipline. They stand on stage and they look good, but you don't only look good, you are performing. You're flexible. You're doing things. You're doing, like, I don't know, like push-ups on your nails. I don't know what you're
yeah.
doing there. You're doing a lot.
Yeah, and you know what? So I do know Arnold. I've been around him, gosh, for years. Traveled many events, done his shows all over the world.
I met him at Gold's Gym in Venice.
Oh,
I have a
did you?
selfie with him.
No
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
way.
I was
You
like,
know what? It's crazy when he's there too, because that's the Mecca. That's his home. But he is so cool, so down to earth.
he was very kind to me. He had this like very like masculine present. And I was like, I remember it was when I was really working out hard and I was really fit. I remember I took a pre-workout, which I won't do today because I know what's in them. But back then I would be like pre-workout. I was all like half high on the pre-workout, all smiling, like, "Hi, can I have a selfie with you?" I was like, "For sure." And he takes it, and he takes the selfie with me, so it looks like we're buddies. It's pretty cool. Cool guy.
He's so super nice. But he actually said, he goes, our division, he's like, you guys are the real athletes. And so coming from him, it's like, thanks, because you're
He
depleted.
knows. He knows. I mean, like, they just stand there and look good. You look amazing, and you're flying in the air doing all those crazy things.
And it's an extreme sport. Our division is absolutely an extreme sport. You're doing crazy flips. You're on hard floors. We don't have the gymnastic spring floors. We are depleted. We're lean. In prep, they judge your physique, but primarily our score is based on our routine. And the work that it takes to prepare for these big worldwide competitions, you're going in injured. So, I've done 10 Olympias. I have only competed at one Olympia when I wasn't injured. And I've always, I've had something. I competed one year, the year that you're talking about. I broke my leg 3 days before, which is crazy, but I ended up winning. That was my third win.
How now, brown cow? How do you do that?
You got one other. I had one good leg. One was broken. So I just, you've worked so hard. It's like I'm not tapping out. So I have to just go in and give it my all. It's 2 minutes. It was the pain obviously was bad. And towards the end, I couldn't hardly do any of the moves. I took out, now granted, it was 3 days before the competition. So I never got to practice anything. I just had to visually change my routine and try to modify it and take out the stuff I couldn't do with 2 legs and hide the fact that it was broken. It was crazy ordeal, but it's like it's 2 minutes. It's already broken. It can't get broken. I mean, I guess it technically could, but I was going in for my third world championship title, and I thought, It's not the first time I've been injured. I'm just going to give it my all, and what happens happens. I mean, I know I've got a broken leg, so I'm just going to try my best.
How did you break the leg?
So I was doing my last practice. I
Oh,
was already in Florida. It was in Florida that year,
mm,
and they had a room that I could practice in. It was just a hotel conference room, so no padding, nothing. And it was a very small area, and I went to do this crazy backflip, this one-legged diagonal backflip, and in my peripheral I saw the wall, and I thought I was going to hit it because I wasn't used to practicing in such a small confined space. So when I went upside down and kicked, I thought, oh no, I'm going to kick the wall. So I pulled out of my back flip midair and then just came straight down and just landed so funny. I thought I tore my knee because I've torn my ACL before. So I thought I tore my knee again because it just blew up. Huge black and blue. And it's just because I thought I was going to hit the wall. So pulled out. And then I thought, oh man, this is a broken leg. Or I wouldn't go to the doctor. So I didn't officially know it was broken until after the competition.
my
So
goodness.
I thought, I know it's not going to just heal, and I know there's something wrong, but it's not going to change before the competition, so we're not going to worry about it. We're going to act like it's not here.
Did you tell anyone?
Yeah, so you travel with your team and your core people. You have your trainer. I had one of my assistants. My best friend was there, so they knew. But I said
Mm.
nobody else. Do not tell anybody this. Um, you know, I had to obviously do all the press interviews and the meet and greet, so I was just walking with massive swag, and I'm kind of goofy, so it didn't look that weird. People were just like, she is being crazy. Like, look at her walking, because I just tried to play it off and be goofy. I told my team, I said, no one look at my leg. No one ask about my leg. It's not going to change it. So we're not going to give it any energy. And to answer your question with injuries, the hardest thing is obviously going through 18 surgeries. I feel like I've kind of become a pro. The one good thing about stuff like that is it's temporary. And so having the gratitude that this is temporary. So, for example, when I tore my ACL, there wasn't much you could do when you're in this huge knee brace and you're on crutches for weeks, but I could do upper body stuff, or I could figure out ideas for my next routine. So when you're dealing with an injury, you have to like literally reprogram your brain to stop focusing on all the things you can't do, because there's going to be a long list. But what
Mm.
can you do? Or for me too, it was like, this is a time that now I get to focus on this new business venture or this new project. Since I can't go be my normal athletic athlete that I want to be, I need to rehab. Now I'm going to focus on maybe personal life and stuff I wanted to do, maybe a project that I didn't have time to do for my kids, or again, focus on an improvement I wanted to make within my work. Focus on what you can do, not what you can't do, because that just is what gets people in this state of, oh my gosh, this injury is tough. It makes the pain worse. Your mental game is completely off. You get depressed. So you have to focus on, this is temporary. I will heal. But in the time period that I need to rehab, what can I accomplish? And create that as a new challenge. What do I want to do? Maybe it's something like, oh, I want to learn to be a master at Wordle or crossword puzzles. Maybe you want to learn cooking. I don't know. Maybe it's a new hobby, but focus on something so that you have a goal to distract your brain from the sadness and defeat of an injury. So, I mean, that's kind of, I know I'm going a roundabout way to answer these questions.
No, no, it's amazing. It's very inspiring.
There's, again, it goes back to the H2G2. There's people who are permanently, like, I looked at all my injuries and I thought, you know, um, maybe I'm going to be in crutches for a while. But guess what? I get to walk. There's plenty of people who are going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of their life. I
Mhm.
broke my neck now 6 years ago, and
Wow.
I didn't know if I was going to be paralyzed. So it gave me another big wave of motivation and appreciation to say, you know what? I could have been paralyzed. I could have been paralyzed from the neck down. I was lucky enough to recover. I have a 12-piece metal cage in my neck that they put back together. Um, and so, again, that was still temporary.
You're bionic.
Yeah, I do have a lot of metal in my body. That is true. Yes. But it
Wow.
goes back to there are people who don't have the ability to recover, don't have the ability to rehab, or they've been given, a life threatening diagnosis. Maybe they have cancer. That is their life. So when you're sitting having a pity party because you have an injury, that's just a waste of time and energy, because you could be in their shoes and they
Mm.
would love to be in your shoes, where you actually are going to be healed and able to do something in a month or 6 months. So, knowing it's temporary and not allowing yourself to focus on what you can't do, but focus on what you can do, is the way that you can come out of any injury type situation with a much better mindset.
But how did you do it? Because I feel very I'm like, really, I had a bad sciatica and I was crying about it. And on the other hand, like every time I worked out, I would come back home and excruciating pain. So I was like, F that, I don't want to work out. It hurts too much. So how do you get over pain? Like when you experience so much pain, how do you overcome it? You just talk to yourself, or what do you do? And actually, I think now I know that the best thing for my body was actually to move regardless. Even though like the physical therapists were like, my physical therapist was like, don't do lateral movement, don't do forward movement, don't bend over, don't back backwards. I was like, so what can I do? Nothing. Just do nothing. And doing nothing is not helpful.
No, that's truly one thing
Yeah.
that I've learned from all this. As hard as it is, sometimes the lack of activity and the lack of any movement is going to make your pain way worse. So,
Mm-hmm.
it depends on injuries. You do have to be safe. There are massive injuries. So, like what you're saying, back pain is awful. It is awful. So, there is no doubt that you have been in incredible pain. And what I
Mm-hmm.
suggest to anyone, so for someone that's listening, if you're currently dealing with back pain, you have to take baby steps. Don't go, oh, I'm going to go try running for the first time, or I'm going to try something crazy. You need to take some baby steps, but it could be something like, okay, yoga. Yoga is good for
Mm-hmm.
stretching and mobility that's not very intense. So maybe don't jump in the gym and try to like do deadlifts or squat massive weight. That's not going to
Right.
help your
Right.
back. But maybe walking, maybe going to yoga classes, maybe seeing PT who can help build up the muscles surrounding that injured area to help stabilize and build that strength, core strength. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things that can be done. The thing is, don't give up and allow your
Yes.
body to move. It is very frustrating because there is real pain. And again, I know Joe Polish, he talks about him a ton. And I do believe there's a massive amount of psychology that goes to your brain is telling you you're in pain, but
Yes.
it's stress and it's anxiety that creates pain. But then on the flip side,
Yes.
there are actual acute injuries that need to be addressed. So you never
Right.
want to discount somebody, but it's working through
Right.
it, because what's the alternative? Doing nothing and this being your life? That sounds horrible, right? And that's where people go, gosh, no, I got to do something about it. Good. You sure do. Do
Mm-hmm.
something about it. Do not give up. Keep searching for solutions. Talk to doctors. Maybe it's, certain medications that can help kind of alleviate the inflammation, or peptides, or dietary changes that you can make. There's always options. Don't give up on trying to find solutions.
Yeah. Wow. You're amazing and very inspiring. And I pretty much covered about 20% of the questions I wanted to ask you. I want to know so much more. Um, but your daily routine and your diet and fitness in general. But hopefully for another time when you have time. Can you share a little bit about what's your nearest and dearest project these days and how you help people?
Yeah, so I now currently own six businesses, which is kind of crazy to even verbalize. It's like, what? But again, when I'm passionate about something and opportunities come, I just jump on it. So I love helping women, all ages, all athletic abilities, mindset, professional development, personal development, fitness, nutrition, you name it. So, I had an opportunity to come together with this group. It's called Unstoppable 365, and I lead the women's division, and it's bringing all women together. So, we focus obviously on fitness and nutrition, but more importantly, truly leveling up, like working on your mindset, developing that championship mindset that allows you to think big, to set crazy goals, how to have a blueprint and a strategy to accomplish those goals, personal development, professional development. So I'm leading this group of women, and we meet once a week. We do a Zoom call. It's a different topic each time, really helping us dive in and people share, and we are learning from one another. And it's been so fun to watch these women who in even a very short period of time can like literally change their lives like drastically. And it's just knowing you have that support. I feel like in this day and age there's not a lot. There's plenty of people who want to tell you to tear you down. So many who want to tell you can't do it. Where are the women to say, oh hell yeah you can? You can do it. We're here to
Mm.
support you. We're going to be your biggest cheerleaders. What can we do to help? So I am loving this group, this Unstoppable 365 women's group, and watching these people just completely transform in all aspects of their life. There is nothing more rewarding to me than knowing I can make a positive difference in someone's life. You know, they're leading better examples for their children. They have happier marriages. They're achieving things professionally that they never thought because they lived in fear or they had doubt, and they just didn't have that constant motivation and that push to reach higher, shoot for bigger goals. Once you conquer that, what's next? That's where we get our true genuine happiness. That's where I feel, just through my life's journey, my life's obstacles, that I've kind of had to figure out my own way. And now I love having the opportunity to share it, share from my own personal experience and what I've learned. And I'm constantly learning too. So it's been an amazing thing. You know, anyone who just feels like they're made for more, if you feel like you're kind of in a rut, if you have that desire to level up and you need that support and that accountability, I'm your girl. I am your girl. I gotcha. Our group is just so incredible at motivating and inspiring each other too. And that's what I love. I mean, there needs to be more of it in the world.
Yes. And thank you for being so kind and such so hard driven. You're the real deal for sure. And what are your three top tips to live in a stellar life?
Find joy and happiness every day, whatever that looks like to you. And that easily, for me personally, means even taking a step back. For me, laughter is my like golden sun every day. I have to laugh multiple times a day. So, you know, just making sure that like you're driven by happiness and passion. Really reevaluating your priorities. You got to do that regularly, because when we kind of get off path, it's because our priorities are out of whack. And what is most important? What makes you feel good internally? What do you love doing? Is it giving back? Is it being a good mom? Is it being a good spouse? Is it, you know, giving to others? Whatever it is, make sure your priorities are in line and constantly refocus that. And then you've got to focus on you. You're never going to be good for anyone else if you're not good with yourself first. And I know that's so cliche, but we as women are so good at helping others and doing for others. And we always just put ourselves last. And I did that for years too. once you put yourself as a priority, now you can't make it all day. That'd be great, but let's be real, that's pretty selfish actually. But when you align yourself to,
I want to just take care of
yeah,
me every
just me,
day,
everyone's here
all
for
day
me.
and all night.
But when you are actually taking care of yourself, that levels you up to be so much better for everyone else, and you're internally happier. So, those are the three things that I would say. That's my recommendation. Those are things that I do personally, and I would encourage everyone else to do as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Whitney. You're amazing. I'm so happy we finally got to have you on the show. Woohoo! I'm sure everybody got so inspired. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being a light in the world.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm happy to come back anytime.
Please do. Yes. And thank you, listeners. Remember to be driven by happiness and passion. Refocus your priority and focus on you and be the best you can be and have a stellar life. This is Orion. Till next time.